Hello, everyone. Lisa DeLong here. We are so excited that you are joining us. Just a little bit about me. My name's Lisa DeLong. It's spelt funny in the United States. Most people call me Lisa. In Canada or in Europe, most people call me Lise. My background is in special education, deaf education, music therapy, and then my PhD is in neuropsychology with a subspecialty in neurocognitive processing, or just how the brain learns. So typically what I did for most of my life is started a private elementary school and middle school, which worked only in brain studies. And then after that, I became a cognitive rehabilitation therapist. And so that's mostly what I've done. In the meantime, we have two beautiful children, one that lives in Indiana and has given us two grandchildren, which we're very honored. He is incredibly gifted. So he is on an extreme. And then we adopted a little girl. When we adopted her, she has fetal alcohol syndrome. And so she was on the other end of the spectrum. So we have used Neuroptimal because I was trying to find tools for the school that I'd started, and for our daughter that we adopted, and for our child that we had that's extremely gifted and had some issues with anxiety and so forth. So we had both extremes and really work with them. Neurofeedback was one of the tools that we found. Very quickly after finding linear neurofeedback, and we're going to talk a little bit about that difference, almost right away we discovered Val Brown. And Val was just at the very, very, very beginning of creating his concept of dynamical neurofeedback. And with dynamical neurofeedback, which again we're going to get into and we'll talk quite a bit about, but with dynamical neurofeedback, it was so different to the field. It was just so incredibly different that we were really unable to go back to the linear process. Once I understood that it was such a, it's a term that's totally overused, but holistic process. It doesn't work on a specific thing. Instead, it's very global. It works on the entire body at that point. And so because of that, it seemed to have these two extremes, these two children that were at the extremes. That was the perfect system for us. And that really is what we've done ever since. So for 25 plus years now, I have followed Val Brown around until he finally adopted me and allowed me to be part of the business as well. So that's my introduction. I would like Mark to come over and introduce himself as well, so you get to know both of us.
My background's a lot different than a lot of people that are in the neurofeedback world, in that I come from a business background. Started my career as a commercial lending officer in large banks, went on to managing venture capital funds, and at one point managed a company that basically ran medical practices. So on an a la carte basis, whatever the doctor didn't want to do, we'd place people in there to do it.
Right off the bat, what I'd love to do is to welcome you to the Neurooptimal community. This community is so tight-knit. It really is though you are a family member now. And I always talk about Val and Sue, the two founders of the program. And again, I've known them forever and ever. So I always say, will you adopt me? But to be very honest, they adopt every single person that walks in the door. This is part of what makes this community so unique and so kind and loving. And I just want to say this is a safe place. It feels good to be here. The people are kind, and we're all here for the same reason, and that is to introduce this program to as many people as we possibly can, because we personally have had such incredible, unique experiences with it. It is considered a general wellness product by the FDA. It is what we call dynamical neurofeedback. And as we get into this, some of these things you're going to hear repeated several times And please understand that if you've heard it several times, it's probably because, one, it's on the quiz, but two, because it is that important that this is the way you learn to talk about the neurooptimal process as well. So it is a brain training tool. It is not a medical tool. It is not used for helping somebody get through a problem. It is a training program, just like if you were working with a reformer or a treadmill or something like that. It is not only for blood pressure or for headaches or anything like that. It trains the brain to be more efficient, more flexible, and more resilient. When your brain is more flexible and resilient, then all of a sudden it's able to deal with any outside or internal turbulence or any kind of process that may be going on that is overwhelming. My own personal passion for Neurooptimal is that it makes no difference who you are. It makes no difference how old you are, what gender you are, what any kind of sexual preferences are. It makes no difference what kind of a therapeutic background you're from or not, whether you have knowledge of information about the medical field or don't. None of that matters with Neurooptimal. And it's not because it's a one-size-fits-all. It's because it works so individually with that one person and doing the exact same mathematical process with every single person. So we're going to get into that in great detail as we go. I think it will become a little bit clearer to you as you go through this program and process with us. Some of you may have been with Neurooptimal for a while, and the interesting thing about how the brain learns is that the brain always wants to make sense of information. And so depending on what your background is, you are looking at this through the lens of your background. If you are an instructor, as a teacher, you will look at it in a different way than if you are a nurse, or if you are a therapist, or if you come from a business background. Every single person is going to learn this information in terms of what their educational background is, so what their knowledge base is. What I'd like to encourage each of you to do is to drop that. Pretend like you absolutely know nothing. I don't care how long you've been in the Neurooptimal community. Maybe you've been here for 25 years like I have been. Try as hard as you can to drop everything that you know about Neurooptimal and try to listen to this course, because listen to it in a new, fresh, clean way, and see if you can't pick up nuances and differences from what you thought it was. Because again, we all try to make sense of it from our own perspective. And Val has been trying to teach this course for so many years, and in a way that is his voice. It's true to him. This course has been updated for all of our newest program, our NO3 program, and it's been updated with all of his voice from all these years ago. He's been saying the exact same thing, and it changes ever so slightly depending on the actual community that we're in. We are a wellness program provider, and that means that you are now a wellness trainer or wellness provider for Neurooptimal. And we're going to go through and talk about exactly what that means. From Mark and I, and from the bottom of our hearts, we are truly honored you're here with us today. And we really hope that you understand how open and receiving we are. And at this point, we want to introduce the founders of our program, Val Brown, Dr. Val Brown, and Dr. Sue Brown.
Hi, I'm Dr. Val Brown, and I'm one of the co-creators of Neuroptimal. Welcome to the basic course. I'm frequently asked, what's the most important thing to understand? And I think the most important thing to understand is that diagnosis is completely irrelevant. The more you train yourself, the more you'll understand that. The diagnosis is irrelevant means all you do is the regular training, no matter what. Sounds simple, and it is. Simplicity is usually the gateway to the best growth. So enjoy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sue Brown, and I'm co-creator of the Neuroptimal system. I'd like to welcome you to the basic course, and also, if you're new to Neuroptimal, to welcome you to our extended Zengar family. We're a family business, and our users worldwide form a huge extended Zengar family that we're very proud of. I've been asked to say to you something that would be the one thing that I would like you to walk away with from listening to me right now, and that is to keep on keeping on. It's good, solid advice for your own daily life, but if you're uncertain where to go with a client, just keep on keeping on. The training will take care of itself. Good luck with the course.
Now that we've heard from Val and Sue, the initial founders of the company, let's hear from Samantha and Alex, who are Sue's children, who are actually the operators of the company currently.
Hi, my name is Samantha Diabatis. I am the Chief Executive Officer and Chief Operations Officer at Zengar Institute. First off, I'd like to welcome you to our family, welcome you to our community. Thank you so much for joining us on our mission and for coming on board. The more people that join us on our mission, the more efficiently we get to carry it out. So thank you for choosing this path. I am excited to see that you have decided to join us on our basic certification course. We hope that you enjoy it. If there's one piece of advice that I can give you, being a new trainer starting out, it would be to really take the time to learn how to help your clients recognize their shifts. The expertise is all built into the software, so there's really nothing that you need to know technically in order for your clients to experience shifts. What is really helpful to help have happy clients, and therefore which helps build your business, because then you get referrals by word of mouth, is helping people actually track and recognize what shifts and what is actually changing for them in their lives. Every now and then we'll have a trainer that is not well versed in that, and that can lead to a client who is not really able to notice what's going on in their lives and what is changing, even though the software is doing what it needs to do and those shifts are likely happening. So listen to everything that is being said in this course. There's going to be a lot about tracking progress, and try to soak that in as much as you can. Practice it. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it. And we'll touch more on that later. In the meantime, welcome to Neuroptimal and enjoy the rest of your course.
Hello, my name is Alex Theoret. I'm the CEO and CFO of Zengar Institute. I'd like to introduce myself because you may not see or hear of me very often because I oversee a lot of the back-end business functions of the company. I do, however, look forward to the possibility of meeting you at a conference.
Excellent. Truly, the entire family is just very approachable. Please feel free to reach out at any point in time. We do have, and we'll talk about this later as well, but we do have a Facebook page that is the Facebook community page. It's where a lot of a lot of questions are answered is there. So, feel free to get on that Facebook page. If you are not a Facebook user, I would highly recommend that you make an exception. Most all of our information that is talked about within a group is there. We used to have forums on our actual web page, and it would take really almost days for people to answer a question and get back. Now it's really literally seconds. I mean, somebody will see you type and they'll answer you before you even get it finished somehow. So I would highly recommend making an exception. Mark certainly has had to and not happy about it. He's not a Facebook user, or wasn't, but he's very good at answering people.
Facebook user, I'm maybe not a Facebook fan.
No, he's not at all, but he is a user. You're right. Thank you, Mark. Hopefully you'll do the same. Neuroptimal has always considered itself the same way that we are going to describe it today. It's always been this way. In the meantime, we went through FDA and Health Canada, and at our own request, we wanted to let them know that we are not a medical device. We are a training device. And although some neurofeedback equipment is known as a medical device, we are standing alone and saying, but that's not us. We are a neurofeedback device, and we'll explain why here in just a few minutes, but we do not want to get into the process. We don't want to get into the field of looking in any way as though we are treating someone. And I tell you, the people that have the most difficulty with this are the people that are in the mental health field. So if you have a background in therapy, and especially in trauma therapy, it is very easy to try to turn this system into something that it's not, because your educational background, and remember, I'm a neuropsychologist, so I've gone through the same process personally myself, but it's very easy to try to, because we're healers, we're helpers, we want to do something for somebody else. It's very easy to try to make this system go that direction. And this system is not that direction. If anything, and we'll talk about this over and over again, is we want to step out of the way of our clients. We want to empower them, and we want them to be proactive enough, even when they are at their lowest time. We want them to make decisions on how they feel, how much more they want to do this, what they want to do with it, how many sessions they want to have. So we do not ever want to create expectations for those people. Now, that may seem impossible if you're working with somebody who really truly has no ability to make a decision as to what clothing they want to wear that day. Okay, so some of the things we're going to talk about, some of the things we want you to understand, is that for you to be basic certified, there are certain things that we feel are going to be really beneficial to you to understand. One is the way the brain actually communicates with itself, because that is the basis for why Neuroptimal works. We want you to understand the difference between neurofeedback and how it got started and the history of neurofeedback. But we also want you to understand the differences with Neuroptimal and how, yes, we are neurofeedback, but we're not what we would call linear neurofeedback. We don't have a diagnosis, a protocol, and a prognosis. We don't go in that direction as many linear systems do. Therefore, we do not go through and judge what just happened or predict what's going to happen. And I mean by that, we don't have these fancy little graphs that are going to show you what you just did, and therefore this is the track you're on to be able to overcome this or that. We don't do that, and there's a really good reason why we don't do that, that we'll talk about. But dynamically, our bodies do not perform in that way, and we are truly 100% honoring the way our body learns and communicates with itself. We also are going to get into the Zengar history, and we're going to get into what we consider are diffs, duration, intensity, frequency, and shift, and how that creates a 4-dimensional model that we are going to really talk about and help you understand. At the same time, we want you to understand just how to run the system, what it means. You know, when we talk about the word NUMP, what does that mean? How to download media into your media folder so that you can watch a movie, or so that you can do something different than the music that actually comes with the system. Although I will tell you that I love the music that comes with the system. Jeff Bova was the composer and the artist that not only created it but played it, and he did a fabulous job with it. So we want you to help understand why or how sessions run, and more than that, we want to help troubleshoot some through, if you have any problems with the system, how to learn to use it in a different way if need be.
One of the things that you'll come to see on this diffs, duration, intensity, frequency, and shifts, we're looking at that not only from the client perspective, okay, the duration, intensity, and frequency of their symptoms and the shifts, the changes that are going on. We use that view because that's the same way the software is looking at the cortical activity and monitoring it for those exact 4 metrics. And that's the core of what's driving the feedback. So we're looking at it in this way from beginning to end.
Absolutely. We want you to understand the NO3 process. We want to make sure that we spend time on the role of the NeurOptimal wellness provider and the role of the client, which is very different in this process than in any other neurofeedback system and in any other training program. We want to walk through recognizing and tracking shifts. Now, we personally have created something called progress tracking tools. We want to make sure that we spell out the differences because of where you're located. In Canada, Health Canada does not believe we should be using the progress tracking tools. You know, under that premise, we have to really talk about how you can recognize shifts in a different way and what to do with those. So the changes that are being made in our minds are very natural. They're very subtle, and we want to kind of go through some of the changes that you'll typically see. And we want to go through some of the branding and the logos and the philosophy of and the language of NeurOptimal. As you'll notice, every time I say that word, I say it as NeurOptimal. It's just kind of slurred over. It's not NeurOptimal. If you're saying NeurOptimal, people will notice that as being wrong. So you might want to practice NeurOptimal and slur it all together, and also notice that it has a registered sign after it. So to make a registered sign within any of the Microsoft programs, if you put a parentheses and then the letter R and then close the parentheses, it will automatically make that little registered sign. And you want to make sure that every time you write the word NeurOptimal, it has that registered sign right after it. Other words that you'll notice very quickly that do that is Zengar. When we see the word Zengar, you'll have that same registered sign. The last place that you'll see that is after dynamical neurofeedback. We are the only program out there that considers itself dynamical neurofeedback. Now, it's a catchphrase these days. You know, all the other neurofeedback systems are starting to use some of our terminology and use some of our language. So you might hear some other things. What makes us dynamical and why we are the only program that does this? Because we'll help you understand the differences between the two programs as well. We want to make sure that you know where resources are, where to go to get them. We want to explain what PASS is and how you can use PASS. We also want to talk about Zen Connect, because that's your maintenance program with NeurOptimal. So like any other electronic program, you may have some issues with it from time to time. Now, we take a lot of pride in the fact that the way N03 has been built, every time Microsoft, which is the basis of NeurOptimal, every time Microsoft does any updates, we immediately also update your system. And we can do that because of the way N03 was built. As soon as it goes online, we will immediately do any kind of little bitty updates that is necessary to keep it functioning at prime. But every once in a while, you still might have an issue. One of the updates with Microsoft might make the video player play funky or something. Under those circumstances, we want to make sure that you really understand how to get on a Zen Connect, and Mark's going to get into that a little bit later when he starts talking about the technicalities of the system and just some very basic troubleshooting. And he's created even a flow chart that kind of helps you help yourself, because just as we promote that for any and all of our clients as a trainer, we promote that self-empowerment. We also promote that to you. We really want you to do as much as you possibly can to help yourself before asking Zen Connect to come on. But please know that Zen Connect is always there for you. We can always help. And we do have basic hours, but to be honest, they're from 7 in the morning until 7 at night, and no matter where you are in the world, you ought to be able to catch at least a little bit of that timing one way or the other. And then we want to talk about the business and marketing and how we go about, if you are going to create a NeurOptimal office for yourself, how we go about doing that.